Tonight on Our News Live at 7:30, one family declared the unofficial winner of the 2022 Boxing Day Parade. And the Junkanoo Parade did not go without challenges, organizers addressing ticket and seating issues. Plus, a leader within the Christian community calling for more attention on crime. And later, a volunteer spreads holiday cheer at the Rand Memorial Hospital. Welcome to Our News and thank you for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. After a 2-year hiatus, the return of Junkanoo to Bay was a complete success for the One Family Junkanoo group as they were declared the unofficial winners. Our Sasha Lightborn was at this morning's press conference.
This win is very special to us. You know, we've been through a lot of trials and tribulations within the last 2 years, but we bounced back.
That was One Family Chairman Androsia Muffin Fernander immediately following the announcement that her group unofficially won the 2022 Boxing Day Junkanoo Parade.
In third position, with a score of 88.93, Genesis. In second position, with a score of 92.48, the Valley Boys. And the unofficial winner of the 2022 Boxing Day Parade, I want you to listen, with a score of 92.73, One Family.
One Family won several major categories, including Best Overall Costume, Best Off the Shoulder, Best Choreographed Dancers, Best Overall Performance, and Best Music.
We have not had that music come home to us in many, many years. So, for us, we're ecstatic.
Not to be forgotten, Colors Junkanoo Group also took the overall crown in the B groups.
In third position, with a score of 76.72, the Original Congos. In second position, with a score of 78.11, Fancy Dancers. And the unofficial winner of the 2022 overall for Boxing Day for the B division, they were penalized 1 point with a score of 84.40, Colors.
Now, the New Year's Day Parade is scheduled for January 2nd, beginning at 12:01 a.m. Reporting for Our News, I'm Sasha Lightborn.
Thanks, Sasha. Well, the parade drawing a huge crowd to Bay Street as Junkanoo lovers came to see groups show up and show out. Our Berthany McDermott was there to take it all in.
The 2022 Boxing Day Parade returning with much fanfare as thousands of onlookers filled Bay Street. The first A category group to hit the boulevard was the Shell Saxon Superstars with the theme In Praise of Nature, in All Things Give Thanks. The group was looking to defend the top position. The second A category group was Roots with a variety of elaborate, colorful pieces to depict their theme, Heal the World, enduring the crisis of the times. Then came Genesis Warhawks with the theme A Wonderful Year of Occasions and Celebrations. The group's lead costume depicted springtime in the Bahamas, while the choreographed dancers showcased the beauty of autumn and the Thanksgiving season. The group was followed by One Family with the theme Empires, Rise of the Warriors, Battle-Tested, War-Ready. The group featured familiar pieces like characters from the famous Black Panther movie. The performance was enough to win the hearts of these fans.
All the choreographed girls were really rocking Bay Street. They came out with blood in their eyes today.
One Family was awesome. The girls were together. The choreography was awesome. They were neatly paced. That's a good group.
Then came the return of the music makers, who were absent from the last parade back in 2019. The last group to rock Bay Street was the Valley Boys with the theme Magnificent Wonders of the Deep, an exciting dive into our beautiful ocean and a glimpse of our bright blue future. The group's lead costume depicted the majestic pearl and the guardian of the pearl. According to this Junkanoo lover, Valley Boys deserve to take the top prize.
We are going to win this parade this morning. We're going to take first.
We get the theme, we know how to unravel our theme, we know how to depict our theme, we get the music, we get the colors, we get the girls.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, the first Junkanoo Parade in over 2 years was met with some ticketing issues. For many, when they arrived at the entrances, they were told their virtual tickets were already scanned, and for others, there were no more seats available. While we spoke to some residents about the issue.
Y'all selling the tickets twice? We cannot get in. If y'all scan the tickets already, how you want the people who get it, go in. If y'all selling the same tickets, someone who come in before you have the same thing and y'all scanning the can't get the next person in. That means y'all reselling the same tickets. That don't make no sense. Now look at the whole up. No more space?
We have been waiting on Junkanoo for far too long.
This
is highly disappointing.
Officials sought to sort out the ticketing drama. Both Alive and the JCNP sold tickets for the highly anticipated parade.
In order for us to move towards the future, we have to make some changes, and there will be some glitches as we move towards changes. So no doubt in my mind, I think that's the way we need to go.
Because we had occasions where persons took screenshots of tickets and shared them with persons. We had persons took screenshots of tickets and resold the tickets outside their original ticket.
We had some challenges with the seating app, not the sales itself. The sales were very strong. The parade was 100% sold out, but we had some fraudulent activities happening in regards to the digital ticket.
And there were also other challenges, according to the JCNP chairman, who says weather was a huge factor.
Junkanoo and water don't mix, and so that threw the parade off quite a bit, and that affected all groups. So every group got wet, and so that was a challenge for the parade.
Despite that, Miller says officials will do all that they can to improve the overall flow and experience for the next parade.
We want to make sure that it's tight for the New Year's Eve parade. We anticipate that there will be smaller costumes, and so the parade should flow better. So we want to make sure that that gap is closed and customers enjoy the parade.
While an issue over broadcast rights over the airing of the Junkanoo Parade resulting in a dispute between ZNS and Cable Bahamas, the Broadcasting Corporation claiming Cable Bahamas placed a message on its channel, redirecting viewers to Cable Channel 212 to watch the 2022 Boxing Day Junkanoo Parade. In a statement, Executive Chairman Picewell Forbes said the move by Cable Bahamas occurred without any discussion or agreement with the Broadcasting Corporation. During the parade, the question was put to Prime Minister Philip Davis and Youth Sports and Culture Minister Mario Boleg.
That's just been brought to my attention. We were dealing with that. It's being dealt with, and hopefully it's been resolved by now.
There were some agreements made between both our News 12 and ZNS, and some things went contrary, and so we are solving the matter right now.
Now we understand it was eventually moved and the broadcast continued on ZNS. JCNP Chairman Dion Miller was also questioned about the move.
Certainly, JCNP doesn't condone any activity of that such, and I'm sure whatever occurred will be rectified, and Junkanoo will be broadcast on both ZNS as well as the cable network.
Now, Cable Bahamas executives have promised a response in the coming days. It's time now for a look at your temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Good evening, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Natalia, and happy Boxing Day, everybody. Well, we have some showers outside, rain showers actually. They're falling from some stratiform clouds. So it's mostly cloudy outside. The temperature is comfortable 74, or cool if you want to call it that. The winds are picking up out of the northeast at 17 miles per hour, and your feels-like temperature very cool, 72 degrees. On our satellite, that rain shield and that cloud shield across our area, all associated with the frontal boundary. The first front actually moved into our area early this week, but there was a low pressure system that developed to the northeast of the Bahamas, and another cold front developed out of that actually, merged with the stationary front across the central Bahamas, and both of the systems oscillating, but those clouds will remain across us for at least another 24 hours. Starting to see some clearing just across the Florida area. Most of the activity is going to be pulling out towards the east, so we're looking for some improvements later on tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. A look at your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, a man is dead and 6 people injured following a deadly nightclub shooting. We have the latest details. Plus, the president of the Christian Council is calling for a more focused approach on crime. And patients at the Ram Memorial Hospital getting a special visit. Find out who. That's all coming up when our news returns.
FTX story as the company is to start U.S. bankruptcy.
30,000 gallons of oil spilling in Exuma waters overnight. The death of Her Majesty the Queen is a huge shock to the nation and to the world.
An early morning tragedy at sea claiming the lives of 17 suspected.
Goes out to those who have lost their lives.
An alleged nightclub shooter is dead after he was fatally shot by an off-duty officer. 6 people were also injured after the altercation at a Western New Providence nightclub. Police say the early morning brawl happened around 2 a.m. on Monday. Those involved in the fight were kicked out of the club, but the violence continued outside when a man pulled out a handgun and opened fire, shooting 3 people. An off-duty officer who was working at the club shot the suspect and confiscated his gun and magazines. There are currently 5 victims in stable condition in hospital, 3 of whom were stabbed. While an argument between 2 customers and a security officer ended with a man opening fire on the guard and shooting up the Marathon Road business. The shocking incident unfolding around 9 p.m. on Christmas Eve. That's when police say a man and a woman who were in a burgundy Nissan March got into an altercation with the security guard. The pair left and returned opening fire. An off-duty officer saw what was happening and engaged the suspects, who sped off towards East-West Highway. The 27-year-old woman crashed her car and the male suspect ran from the scene. Now the woman is in police custody after being treated for minor injuries. As the Bahamas continues to see soaring crime numbers, Christian Council President Bishop Delton Fernando is renewing the call for a unilateral focus on crime. This as the murder count surpasses 100.
Because we do great work in silos, but we have better effect when we do it together. I know sometimes it appears that these words are going on deaf ear, but I think it's now time for us to focus on. We are too small. The numbers of the Bahamas, less than 500,000 people, that we shouldn't be able to have things like crime and roads and buildings and how we take care of the poor under control.
Now, just last week, a man was gunned down on 8th Street around 7:30 Thursday evening. Fernando says maybe there should be a national campaign against crime.
Maybe campaign is a better word. We had a campaign for AIDS. We had a campaign for teenage pregnancy. We had a campaign for nicotine addiction. All of them worked. And we were able to focus as a nation on something. Mothers Against Crime. They had a very, very effective run. MAD, if you remember that. They really took this country by. It's our time. It's time for this generation to rise. I mean, maybe, as I speak, it's not a governmental focus. Maybe the church can help some civic organizations and we can come together.
When our news comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world. Plus, a Bahamian artist making a big mark on the international stage. We have the full story. And special visitors putting a smile on the faces of patients at the Rand Memorial Hospital. We have all the details when our news returns.
FTX story as the company is to start U.S. bankruptcy.
30,000 gallons of oil spilling in Exuma waters overnight. The death of Her Majesty the Queen is a huge shock to the nation and to the world.
An early morning tragedy at sea claiming the lives of 17 suspected.
Goes out to those who have lost their lives.
We now turn our attention to stories making headlines across the world. At least 60 lives have been lost in weather-related incidents across the United States, from an Arctic deep freeze and sprawling storm front that extended over most of the country for days as far south as the Mexican border. The greater Buffalo region on the edge of Lake Erie near the Canadian border was hardest hit. More than 4 feet was dumped on Buffalo since the blizzard took shape on Friday. Residents in China's major cities of Beijing and Shanghai welcomed the lifting of travel restrictions a day after authorities announced measures easing border curbs. China will stop requiring inbound travelers to go into quarantine starting January 8th. Data showed that within half an hour of the news, searches for popular cross-border destinations had increased tenfold. More strikes are on the horizon in the United Kingdom as rail workers, postal workers, nurses, and other union members are planning new industrial action throughout the year. The country has faced massive strikes over the past weeks by transport and postal workers, nurses, and border guards, among others. Speaking to China Global Television Network, British journalist Andrew Wilson said all sides in the ongoing industrial disputes were blaming the opposing side for the chaos and disruption. While a local artist is taking France by storm with her unique artwork, Joshua Williams has her story.
A childhood passion has taken Yatavia George across the hemisphere to France. After graduating from university, Yatavia decided to stay in France to follow her dream career in artistry.
As a Bahamian artist who's based in Paris, I've been trying to find connections to different cultural things that I relate to and things that has happened to me here, different cultural things here. So trying to find networks and bridges within drawing, within this contemporary space.
Yatavia considers herself to be a Bahamian ambassador and recognizes the importance of representing her country. She says despite the challenges, she has learned to adapt the space that she is in.
In each space, I was meeting new people, finding new ways to relate my artwork to this space and the space I'm from. It's just like I was trying my best not to forget where I'm from and adapt and also include where I'm at now.
George sharing a word of encouragement to young aspiring artists.
Get acquainted with pain quickly. Be comfortable when you're uncomfortable. And that's the hardest part.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
Still ahead on Our News tonight, Santa's helpers pay a special visit to a Grand Bahama hospital. And will there be more wet weather this week? Greg is back in the Weather Center with the answer. That's coming up when Our News continues.
FTX story as the company is to start U.S. bankruptcy.
30,000 gallons of oil spilling in Exuma waters overnight. The death of Her Majesty the Queen is a huge shock to the nation and to the world.
An early morning tragedy at sea claiming the lives of 17 suspected.
Goes out to those who have lost their lives.
Welcome back to Our News. It's been a very wet start to the week. Greg is back in the Weather Center to tell us what else the skies have in store this week. Greg?
Yeah, thanks again, Natalia. Welcome back, everybody. We do have that cloud shield and a stationary front, also another frontal boundary that formed just to the north of the Bahamas with an associated low-pressure system. Both of those fronts merging, and it's basically keeping that moisture plume across our area. We will continue to see cloudy conditions with some scattered showers and some light to moderate rain throughout the rest of the night, and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm. I saw some of those earlier in radar imagery. But most of this activity will continue to pull out towards the east and away from us. We're looking for some improvement over the next 24 to 48 hours with a lot of this activity moving out. High pressure behind that will continue building across our area, should dominate our weather throughout the remainder of the week, and that high is actually going to tighten our pressure gradient for at least another day. So we're looking at some breezy conditions, but warmer temperatures and much improved conditions expected throughout the remainder of the week. Future forecast showing things rather nicely. That moisture plume, as I mentioned, still across us, pulling out towards the east. Most of the activity will be out in the open Atlantic, but the tail end of that front will actually oscillate back towards us. So we're looking at a few more isolated showers later on as the system pulls up towards the north. But as I said, much improved conditions expected for the rest of the week and into the weekend. Boating conditions, small craft caution in effect for you guys in the northwest and central Bahamas. High risk of rip currents along the beaches. Northeast to east winds at 15 to 20 knots. Those winds will be gusting high at times. Seas will be running 4 to 6 feet, but they will be building up to 8 feet in some northeast to easterly swells, and those will be mostly along the Atlantic exposed shorelines. Your high tide will be at 11:22 tonight. For the southeast Bahamas, caution fly for you down there as well. And a high risk of rip currents. East to southeast winds expected at 15 knots. Seas running 3 to 5 feet, but up to 7 7 feet in north to northeasterly swells. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, we're looking at more showers in the forecast throughout tomorrow as that frontal boundary continues to meander across the central Bahamas. But by Thursday, much improved conditions, and then by the weekend, sunny skies, and those temperatures will back up towards the 80-degree mark, looking for some warmer temperatures throughout the remainder of the week. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
Thanks so much, Greg. Well, Santa's helpers made a special visit to the Rand Memorial Hospital's emergency room with a prescription for Christmas cheer. Our Marlene Leonard reports.
The waiting area of Grand Bahamas Rand Memorial Hospital emergency room was treated to free hot chocolate, Santa hats, and candy canes this year, but not by Santa Claus. Cindy Haas is a Grand Bahama resident and former patient who decided to bring some Christmas spirit to the waiting area.
I was a patient at the Rand Hospital in October, and they took very good care of me, so I wanted to give back to the community as a Christmas present. And my sister-in-law was so kind to paint all the cups differently and make them beautiful and remember the real reason for the season.
It has been a long-standing family tradition to go out and spread the Christmas cheer to people who need it most, Haas tells us.
And these Santa's helpers didn't only offer these gifts to patients, they also offered them to the nurses, the staff that's online every day, and also during this holiday season.
Senior House Officer for the hospital's Accident and Emergency Division, Dr. Tanya Hall.
It feels good to be appreciated, especially at this time of the year.
Patients excitedly accepted the sequined Santa hats, and even patients from inside the hospital expressed interest in the hot chocolate.
But most people, when they come in, they do ask for things like hot, like tea and things like that, which we don't always have available. So when they get a chance to get something like this, it's something that they enjoy.
Reporting from Grand Bahama for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Such a sweet story. Thank you so much, Marlena. And thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.